'Cause if you still have breath in your lungs, 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 oh, if you still have breath, oh, if you still have breath in your lungs, if you still have breath in your lungs, lift up your eyes, for your help draws nigh. Child, lift up your eyes. Oh, it'll be alright, 'cause every tear you cry, let the sunlight dry every tear you cry. Oh, it'll be alright, 'cause if you still have breath in your lungs, 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 oh, if you still have breath in your lungs, oh, if you still have breath, you're not done. So child, lift up your eyes, for your help draws nigh. Child, lift up your eyes. It'll be alright, every tear you cried, let the sunlight dry every tear you cried. It'll be alright, 'cause if you still have breath in your lungs, if you still have breath in your lungs, you're not done. To God, in every new thing that we start or try, in every season that feels like there's a lot of change and we're not ready for it, whether that change was planned or not, we can have confidence that you're there when we start and there when that part's over and the next part begins. You're not just there hoping things go good or just staying alongside us. You're a part of pushing us forward and through it. So God, just let us have peace knowing it's you and that you're not just beside us, you're actually rooting for us to move forward. But God, we don't want to just hear that from other people or cool sermons or podcasts or whatever. We want to hear that from you. So God, we don't hope that you'll speak to us this morning. We expect it, God. In Jesus' name, amen.
Good morning, Home Church. You guys can take a seat. Thank you, Trey. Excellent work. Hi, everybody. My name is Honor Teague. I'm excited to be a member here. Home Church is an amazing place and a great community of believers who really love the Lord and are practicing the way. I'm very excited to introduce my wonderful friend, Erin Hale. She's the new director of Home Kids, and she has an exciting announcement for us today. Yay.
All right. Good morning. I'm Erin, and if I haven't gotten a chance to meet you yet, then I would love to meet you. So I am the new director of Home Church Kids, and I'm really excited about some of the things that we as a staff have talked about wanting to see happen with our kids program here. Since we have been going here for the last few years, the kids program has just exploded. And we have so many incredible families here, and just I love getting to see them all growing and get to be a part of just volunteering that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years, and just recognizing some things that we can do to help make our kids program even better. So one of those things is getting people to teach our kiddos. And so as I have stepped in as the new kids director, I have a background in education, and so I was like, oh, I see some things that we can really do here, and that's gonna take people. It's gonna take you guys coming in and just loving on our kids. So we have a Sign Up Genius link that I've set up as a way to volunteer. So the way that we have signed up in the past is going to be a little bit different now. We're trying out this new way to have people sign up where we sign up for a specific date to teach and a specific classroom that you would like to be in, because we don't want you to sign up to something indefinitely. Like, we want you to sign up and like feel good about it. And like, if you want to sign up for one Sunday or a couple of Sundays or once a month, it's totally up to you. We do ask that you have to have a background check, okay, to teach in our kids' classes. And so if you haven't had that done, we can get that done very easily. But you can just click on the QR code up here. I know Ann has sent the link also in the newsletter last week, so you can go there. We also have sign-up sheets out front and back where the kids' classes are, and we would really, really, really appreciate you just taking, even if it's one Sunday over the next 3 months, just one time, to just come back. You can hold babies, you can play with our kids. We do have a specific lesson that you will use. It's very easy to use. It tells you exactly what to say, exactly what to do. I will have all the materials that you'll need ready to go. And so that's it. We just really would love to see some more of you back there hanging with our kiddos, because one thing that's been really tugging at my heart lately is just having a way, like figuring out like how do our kids fit in with our home church family. And so I think that one way that we can do that is by just having more people volunteering to work with them, so that you get to meet them, they get to meet you, and it just makes it so much more fun for them. So that's it.
Thank you, Erin. I love that. If there's coloring pages involved, I think you've convinced me. I'm gonna volunteer. Okay, awesome. We have a lot of updates today. So I love that there's so many cool things going on in the church that I get to tell you guys about, because we're growing and there's a lot of stuff going on. Okay, so the next announcement is that there's going to be a lunch and learn where we're going to be talking about experiencing God at home and abroad. And this is going to be led by Richard and Rolla, and they're going to be coming alongside their friends Clint and Sarah Baldwin to talk about their experience with LCC, which I think is Life Christian Church. Is that right? Lithuania Christian College, the other LCC. So they're going to talk about their experiences in Lithuania and how they saw the Lord move over there. So that's going to be really exciting. If you guys want to come, please sign up at our lovely QR code, because we just want to get an idea of like how many people are going to be there. Oh, and as a reminder, that is on Sunday, October 27th. I believe it says it up there. Cool. Okay. As I mentioned, Home Church is continuing to grow. So we are starting a security team that's going to be led by Mayor of Home Church, Larry. Yes, yeah. So if you're interested in being a part of the security team, or just want to know like what that even is, what it entails, feel free to reach out to Larry just to get some more information, or you can contact him via email or phone. Okay. The grief group that we had an announcement about a couple weeks ago is going to be starting this week on Thursday, October 17th at 6:30 p.m. And they're going to be holding that meeting right here in like the prayer room on the side. So if you're interested, you can sign up at the QR code link, yes, Or you can also just show up if you're not into QR codes. But we would prefer that you scan the QR code so we know if you're coming. Okay, and the weather is getting cooler. It's sweater weather. It's time for some home church hiking. So we have a couple of hiking opportunities coming up in October. Both are actually scheduled for Saturday, October 26th. I think there's like 2 events going on. So we're doing a Mammoth Cave hike, which is gonna be like a really intense one. There's gonna be a lantern tour and an overnight option. So if you were a spelunking connoisseur, now's your time to get into some hiking. And if anyone is interested in doing a hike a little close to home, there will also be another one around Warner Park on that day. So Larry will be also, not only does he do the security team, but also he does the hiking group and team. So he'll be leading that effort. If you're interested, feel free to reach out to him to get more info. Oh look, Warner Park and Mammoth Cave. Okay, and almost, we got a couple more to go. So Alchemy Chapel is gonna be hosting some more events here at Home Church. I actually haven't been to one of the Alchemy Chapel events, but I think it's like a Christian concert put on here. Yes, I see some nods back there. So we actually have 2 dates for that scheduled in November. One is November 14th with Ivan Thiva and Will Reagan. I feel like those names are like familiar. I feel like they I know those people. And then there's another one on November 27th with 22nd. Yes, with Jalen and Thomas Austin. So if you're interested in some music and community, feel free to come to one of those events. So now I'm going to invite Nate on up, and he's going to talk a little bit about family meals.
Is there sound? While he is getting that video up, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Nate. I'm stalling for time while that video gets up and going. I'm a member here at Home Church with my wife, Taylor, who's over in the corner. I'm also on the board of Home Church. And are we good? Here's the video.
I'll be darned. New paint, new cabinets, new floors, a new microwave, new stuff.
Okay.
Your mom had her kitchen done too.
Yeah, my dad bought himself a bunch of new toys.
Really?
Yeah, big screen TV, CD player.
Okay, let's keep on going the announcement. We tried. Okay. So we are doing
Well, they keep things pretty much locked up. My father has his own room for his stuff.
It's cool. Let's go. Let's keep moving. Keep moving. Okay. We are doing a new practice here at Home Church called Home Church Family Meal. So what the video was a video clip of a family dinner of Edward Scissorhands eating dinner at the table of this new family that he had been just welcomed into. And I love that. If you ask my wife, Taylor, one of my happiest places in the world are when people are breaking bread together, sharing a meal. And to me, that is a quintessential practice of the Christian life, breaking bread together. So we are Home Church, and what is one of the things that makes a home? Any guesses? A table and a family dinner. So I was like, we need to be doing some family dinners right here at Home Church, and we need to be practicing this idea of a table. There's a famous quote that I love that says, the work of the church happens around the table. And that is, I love that because every time we break bread together, every Sunday morning we gather and we eat of the flesh, we drink of the blood of Christ. It is is a little taste, it's a little reflection of this great banquet scene that we see at the end of the Bible, which I think is so cool. That we get this scene at the end of Scripture, that heaven, it's like this great family dinner where all are welcome to, even if you have scissors for hands and you may be a little bit awkward, we're all welcome to a table. So what we're gonna do, what this means is that once a quarter or once a season, winter, spring, fall, summer, we are gonna have a big family dinner and celebrate what is going on in the life of this church. And we're gonna remember what's happened in the life of this church. And we're gonna break bread together as one. And by doing so, we get a little bit of a taste of that great banquet when heaven and earth become one. So, if you wanna be a part of this, that is my wife's email because I'm not very good at emails. And it is very long. It's taylor.d.underwood1. It took me like a year or two to get that email from my wife. So if you guys don't get that email, you can also DM the messages. You also DM the Home Church account on Instagram, or a really easy way is you can come and find Taylor and I during the 5-minute party or after service or wherever. Come and find me, and I would love for you to be a part. We need people to help cook. We need people to help serve. We need people to help put out plates, all this kind of thing. So if you enjoy cooking and eating together, if you like hosting, we need you to be the part of this new rhythm of Home Church family dinners. So thank you guys for listening, and thank you for being patient during our video attempt. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Nate. Okay, we've made it to the last announcement and almost the 5-minute party. This announcement was not on the list. But today we have a couple of national holidays. And one of those is actually Pastor Appreciation Day. So just want to say a huge thanks to Jason and to Meredith and to anyone who has preached here in any capacity. Kat, Jill, Jace, Dark Jason. Just want to say a huge thank you to you guys, and we appreciate you. Yes. Whoa, yeah. There's another national holiday today, and that is National M&M Day. So make sure you eat an M&M, and also we are about to enter a time where we're going to have some community and chit chat for about 5 minutes. I'm going to launch you off with an icebreaker question, and that is, what is your favorite Halloween candy? Which one is superior? Is it M&M's on National M&M Day, or is it Twix, which is definitely the best? Go.
Like newborn putting my trust in you. No matter what I go through, you'll never forsake your own. You'll never leave me alone. You're good and I believe it, even though I can't see it. I know I can feel it. You will not be defeated. Holding on to Jesus Christ, holding on to me in the darkest night. Holding on to Jesus Christ, holding on to me, and I'll be alright. I'm putting your kingdom first. I'm hungry and Lord I thirst. This world has made me dry. Only you can satisfy. You're good and I believe it, even though I can't see it. I know I can feel it. You will not be defeated. Holding on to Jesus Christ, holding on to me in the darkest night. Holding on to Jesus Christ, holding on to me, and I'll be alright. Holding on to Jesus Christ, holding on to me in the darkest night. Holding on to Jesus Christ, holding on to me, and I'll be alright. You're good and I believe it, even though I can't see it, but I know I can feel it. You will not be defeated. Holding on to Jesus Christ, holding on to me in the darkest night. Holding on to Jesus Christ, holding on to me, and I'll be alright. Holding on to Jesus Christ, holding on to me in the darkest night. Holding on to Jesus Christ, holding on to me, and I'll be alright.
There will come a soldier who carries a mighty sword. He will tear your city down. Olay, olay, O Lord. Olay, 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 O Lord. He will tear your city down. Olay, olay, O Lord. There will come a poet whose weapon is his word. He will slay you with his tongue. Olay, olay, O Lord. Olay, 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 O Lord. He will slay you with his tongue. Olay, olay, O Lord. There will come a ruler whose brow is bleeding corn. Spirit of the Lord, like David's boy. Olay, olay, O Lord. Olay, 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 O Lord. Spirit of the Lord, like David's boy. Olay, olay, O Lord. Olay, 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 O Lord. He will tear your city down. Olay, olay.
Good morning, Home Church. I hate to bring it into the conversations. And if Jason is anywhere in the building, would he report to the... I was told he had an announcement before I got started, so that's why I'm... But I'm sure he'll be here any minute to... Yeah, you're good, man. I'm just rambling. I haven't started anything worth hearing. Please, you have...
I don't know what I missed, but hi, my name is Jason, and in a few weeks we're hosting calling it third person conference, and I don't know about y'all, but I remember being in 7th grade, and I grew up in the church. Dad was a pastor from the time I was born until, well, now actually. But I remember being in 7th grade and everyone around me is like singing the songs and doing the things and like really into it. And I was just not. Like I knew that like I believed this stuff. I was in, like I considered myself a Christian. I had Bible plaques from silly Bible drills and things like that. But it wasn't personal. Have you ever felt like that? Like it was, like I believed it, but I didn't experience it. And just remember, like, there in church, it's like, I love the people, I love the community, but I was just showing up. Like I was not experiencing God in any real way to me. And then that summer, I went on this retreat and encountered God in a real way and began to hear from God, and prayer became less this ritual that I felt like I was supposed to do to this communion, to this relationship. And I was gonna bring the baby up here, but donuts and things distracted me. But about a year ago, after church, my friend Christine came up to me and said, while you were speaking, I saw this picture of this little boy who looked just like you, like toddler, like holding on to your leg. And we had not told anyone that we were pregnant, and we didn't know it was a boy yet. And if you look at the boy, he looks way, like uncomfortably too much like me. We were really hoping he would look like Melissa, but, and it was just like, I don't know why God gave her that picture, but it was so meaningful and powerful. And so our goal in this time together, it's going to be a Friday night and 2 Saturday sessions and then Sunday sessions, is simply to help you hear God and know God in a personal way. There are lots of reasons not to be a Christian. And at times when I've wrestled with faith and asked the hard questions and not gotten answers, this is what has kept me so engaged and tethered. And like, I don't know about all this stuff, but I keep meeting God in special and meaningful ways. And I just want that for everybody. And so Pastor John Peters and worship leader Nick Herbert are coming from England to be with us, simply to be with us for that weekend. It's really cool. They're wonderful people. Nick Herbert has probably written songs that you've sung in church. He writes with Chris Tomlin and Matt Redman, and John Peters is just kind, wise person, and they're gonna help us hear God. Some of you have been prayed for by people in this church, and you've experienced God in that way. I have personally experienced that from some of you, and so if you can possibly make it, it's the first weekend in November. Even if you can't make it to every session, it's free. And so people are coming from London. It's a really cool venue in 12 South. Our friends Johan and Christina own it. So it's gonna be awesome. And I'm not a hype guy. I don't say awesome, but it's gonna be awesome. And hope you can join me there. Also, the actual reason why I was late. He doesn't know I'm going to do this, but Trey, he led worship this morning. And now Nate as well joining. They're opening Primitive Coffee with Harding House Brewery. And the soft opening, I think, is this Friday, Trey told me. So if you show up, he's got to make you coffee. So we have notes here, and I got a gift for Trey that we're going to give him with the notes. If after church you could just write a note, like a prayer or just a kind thing, even if you don't know Trey and just think he sings good. He does, but he's also an awesome guy, and we want to encourage him and join with him as a home church family in this. I've had his coffee a lot. It's amazing. I've been in the space, and it's also so cool, and I think you're gonna love it. And Nate, who was just talking about the family meals, started Harding House Brewery, and they're gonna have taps there too, so you can stay all day. Yeah. And this is my friend Charles. You know Charles, he goes here. He's also been a pastor for a long time, an awesome guy. And my wife rarely says much about my sermons, but every time Charles preaches, she's like, that's so good. And I don't know how to take that, but I'm really grateful that Charles is here, and we get to hear from God and you. And so let's go.
Thank you. I do want to encourage you to get involved with whatever you can. There's a lot of neat small groups that we hear about every week, and you hear about a lot of them, so I guess it could kind of be overwhelming to like pick which one do we do or what do we do. So my encouragement to you would be to talk to Jason, or I know that Jason has started a study that sounded really interesting to my wife and I, and we're just struggling driving from Smyrna one more time to East Nashville. But talk to them about, well, what's this study about? And find one that would work for you. And I think what I'm going to talk about today, I think will match up with that a little bit, to want to grow, to want to go deeper, to want to find more. And if you get like me in your life, there are times when I need more. Because if this is all there is, it's not enough. And stuff. So there's a lot of mental health stuff with that for me, to where that depression sets in, and it's like there's got to be more. Like what I'm seeing in this world isn't enough. So I'm going to read the scripture, and then we're going to pray and dive into this morning. So we're reading out of Matthew 6, the continuing with this sermon, the series that Jesus preached on the mountainside, and that Jason began, and we're jumping in here in Matthew 6:19. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eyes are unhealthy, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light within you is darkness, how great is that darkness? No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. Let us pray. Lord, I ask for you to send your Spirit into this room, into this place, to just dwell among us, to dwell within us, to walk and to place your hand upon us, to give us peace. Lord, as I walk through this scripture this morning and I deal with tough issues for me and for many of us, I ask that you would just help us to hear your message, help us to hear what you would have us hear, help us to hear your vision, your desire through these scriptures, and let all else wash away. In your holy name, amen. So if you read through this sermon, you'll read the first part that Jason has preached most of, and it talks about adultery, and it talks about several of these issues that are kind of external, like how we treat those outside of us. And then it does this shift to where it talks about giving, which comes from the heart, and it talks about prayer, it talks about fasting, and then it talks about treasures. And so it kind of shifts in the middle of this sermon to what we're doing outside of us and how that's reflected to what we're doing inside of us. And as I look through these 3 or 4 pieces about how you give, how you pray, how you fast, and then how your treasures, I jumped a couple ahead to treasures because this just resonates with me. This has been something I have dealt with and struggled with and prayed about and studied on my entire Christian life. Because it's just something that I struggle with. It's something that is a battle for me. And so I wanted to deal with that a little bit with you, and in the hopes that Jason's going to jump backwards a little bit and talk about prayer and talk about fasting, because those are issues that we definitely need to work through as well. So I just kind of told Jason I was going to jump ahead, so he has to clean up my mess when he gets back up here. And so this scripture is broken up into 3 areas that we're going to talk about today. One are your treasures, the second one are your eyes, and the third is your service. And those 3 all are very related, and you'll see that, I hope, by the end here. But as we look at this first part, do not store up for your treasures on earth, but store up for yourself treasures in heaven. I want you to immediately see that there's 2 commands in that. One is, do not store up for yourself treasures on earth. Right? And we hear that a lot, like material things aren't important. You don't get value in your treasure. You don't get value in your stuff. And so you shouldn't just accumulate things. We don't need material possessions. And I've heard that my whole Christian life, right? There's so much about that. But I would challenge in any area of our life when we're challenged to get rid of something, where we're challenged to battle an addiction, and you need to get this out of your life. If you do any AA treatment, you don't just get something out of your life. Something has to replace it. Something has to fill up the void, or we go back to it, and a lot of times we'll go back to it worse than we were when we tried to quit the first time. I know I watched my brother through his entire life, adult life, battling with alcohol, and he would go through this season where he would go to rehab and he would quit. And when he would start back up again, he'd be way worse. He would go so much further than where he was before he quit, because he never really grasped that higher power, that something, that purpose had to fill the gap that alcohol filled for him. And so when you got stuff and you get rid of stuff, the second command is, but you do store up treasures in heaven. So you don't get to skip that part. When we try to purge the junk out of our life, we got to replace that by building it up somewhere else. I think about even when Nate was talking about the meals coming up and us gathering at that feast that's talked about like in Revelation, and we gather at that table. I believe when we gather at that table in the presence of our King, we're going to see what we brought with us. See, I love the idea of walking into that final banqueting feast, and this would be a great sermon to talk about that Revelation feast where we're all going to gather. And I believe when we walk into that feast and the people that are sitting around that table, we're either going to walk in because we barely got into heaven by the skin of our teeth, and we're going to walk in and go, whoo, hand me a turkey leg, I made it. We're going to walk in, we're going to sit down, we're going to eat. And then there's going to be those that spent their life investing in other people and investing in relationships and investing in loving people and finding the least of those and sitting down with them and breaking bread with them here. And we're going to walk in and we're going to go to that feast, and you're going to have 10 people, 1,000 people, 100,000 people stand up and go, Nate, man, I'm so glad you're here, man. You're going to know people at the table because they're going to be at the table because of you. That's your treasure. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine walking into a room and going, man, I don't know if I even deserve to be in God's presence, and getting through the gate and Peter's standing there with the keys, like, all right, I'll let you in. And you walk in and Jesus is like, welcome, my son, well done, good and faithful servant. And you walk in and you turn and there's all these people that are standing there going, because of you, I'm here. Now that's treasure. Like I want that. Like, I don't want the credit of like going, yep, I got people to heaven. I'm awesome. But I want my life to have been of such value that when people are present there, they're like, you introduced me to Jesus. You introduced me to church. You sat me down in a place where I heard God's word preached and sat in a room of people that loved me and didn't judge me. I never would have found that if you hadn't taken me by the elbow and brought me along. And when we have too much stuff, it begins to get in the way. I was listening to this book on Audible. It's written by this Japanese man, and it's in Japanese, translated to English, so a lot of the illustrations are very Japanese, which are more adapt to minimalism and that type of thing than we are. Their whole culture was kind of brought along in that, but it's called Goodbye Things, the New Japanese Minimalism, and it talks about how we have all this stuff in our life. And a lot of that stuff is great stuff. And when he did his first example, I have the exact same example in my life. He goes, when you're in my apartment and you look against the wall, there's this guitar laying against the guitar amp that I bought when I was gonna learn to be a musician, and it's covered in dust and it's been there for 3 years. But someday I might learn to play guitar, so I'm gonna keep it. And I have a nice Fender bass, jazz bass, and Fender amp in my basement, leaning against the wall, because someday I'm gonna learn to play bass guitar. I'm 53. I don't know when I'm gonna get around to doing that, but I might as well keep it, right? Because I might need it someday, so let's just take up the space and leave it sitting there. Even though every time I walk by it, what does it remind me of? You know this answer. Like every time I walk in my basement and I see this amp and I see this bass sitting there, what does it remind me of? Failure. There's another thing I didn't do. Now, how does that help me? Like, how does that help me to continue my journey? How does that help me to inspire someone else? Right? Maybe there's some young kid out there who's wanting to learn to play bass and doesn't have $3 to do it. And I'm like going, tell you what, man, I got a gift for you. If you promise me you'll use these gifts in your local church, I'm gonna give you a bass and an amp. What would that do? And why would you do that? Why would you give? Nobody gives that. What would that do in that kid? Right? Or I can just keep my stuff. Great quote, you're not your job, you're not how much money you have in the bank, you're not your car, you're not the contents of your wallet, you're not your khakis. Tyler Durden. It's so true. How quickly we like, well, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. And we are not owned by that until at some point there's this corner we turn and we are. I remember when my dad passed away and we moved my mom and dad and we went out into their country property on their farm into the barn. Anybody have that in their lineage where you have parents or grandparents that have like a barn? Have you ever been in the barn? Do you ever think about what you're going to do with the stuff in the barn when you have to deal with that? It's not fun. Nobody wants a broken old plow that's rusty and whatever. It's like, oh, that would look so neat in my front yard. Not when you got a weed eater around it. You're not gonna like it long. Right? So Dad was like, but that's that stuff, that's my whole life. We can't get rid of that. And I'm like, when did your stuff become your life? When did that happen? None of us planned that. I promise you, none of us planned for our car to be our identity. But at some point, we come out and somebody's bumped our car and we're like, I'll kill him. You hit my car. The person's life is still worth more than your car. They broke in my house and they stole my TV. The person's life is worth more than your TV. And I find that when we're in an election year, that I hear so many people talking about these issues of, well, if somebody comes in to take my stuff, and you know how they end the sentence. I'm like, you literally answered the question in your sentence. It's stuff. It's stuff. We have this example in Mark 10, 17 to 27, the rich young ruler, where this young man comes up to Jesus and he's like, what must I do to inherit heaven, right? He says, follow the commandments. And I've done that since I was a kid. You know, love your neighbor, love God, you know, do not murder, do not kill. Like, I followed all that. He goes, now I also want you to give away everything you have, sell it, and give the money to the poor. But hold on, let's not get ridiculous, right? I mean, that's crazy talk. Because if I give away everything I have, then I become a burden on society and I'll have to beg for money and I won't be any use. So I don't want to be that, so I should just keep my stuff, right? We have great excuses, but when we begin to see stuff beyond people, it begins to change the way we see the world. I would love to encourage you to find this book. Find it at a used bookstore, order it new. It's not that expensive. It's called The Anatomy of Peace. And one of the basic concepts in this book, Amy and I have read this book through several times. We've done Bible studies on it. It's got this amazing training in it. And it's actually led by a man of Jewish descent and Muslim descent. These two guys became like brothers through one of the wars. And this Muslim man and this Jewish man came together and wrote this story of peace. So to give you an idea of the background of the people that wrote it, they are people that legit found a way to be in peace with two peoples that have been at war longer than our country has existed. And it says what it comes down to, and it's way more complicated than this, but what it comes down to is when we see other people, we see them one of two ways. We see them as objects that are in our way, that are an inconvenience, that are an obstacle. Or we see them as people who have hurts, fears, worries, desires, just like me. And when you see a person as people, you treat them very differently than when you see a person as an object. Right? A thing that's in your way. When somebody cuts you off in traffic, you see a car, a thing that was maybe risking your life, right? That terrifies us. They cut us off. They almost cause a wreck. How dare that do that to me? That thing, that object. And we wish why are they even on the road? They shouldn't even be near me. We want them not to exist. We get so angry. But what if they're a person? What if we turn that into a person? What if we find a way when that person does that to go, I hope nobody in their family is hurting right now that they're trying to get to. Because I can't imagine the way I would drive if I got the call that Amy was hurt and you need to get to the hospital now. I'm going to make a lot of people mad on that interstate, and I don't care because I'm going to get to her. And you're going to go like, dude, why are you even driving like that? I'm going to run him off the road. Dude, I'm trying to get to my wife. I'm sorry. What if that's how we began to see people, right? What if we began to see people on the corners when they're asking for help instead of like, oh, what's going on there, to, wow, there's value there. There's struggle there. There's hurt there. Like, how can I pour into this more? How can I change the things in my life to begin to see things? And that's where Jesus moves into this concept about our eyes, because I think it's with the eyes, the lamp of the body. If they're healthy, our whole body's full of light. So how do we see the world? How do we see people? How do we see others? And when we see stuff, when we see objects, when we have this darkness, we treat them that way. See, we believe, biblically, if you read through the scriptures and you read through a lot of the things that are taught, that eyes are spiritual. Eyes are something different than everything else. Now, I'm going to test you in this because I don't know if you believe that or not. We have senses, right? We hear, we smell, we whatever. Eyes are different. Like if you sit here for a second and you just breathe in through your nose and take a smell. Was that uncomfortable? Did anybody was like, I was really awkward, smelling the room? It's like, well, if you just stop for a second and listen. That's not really that uncomfortable, right? Okay, I want you to turn to somebody and just look in their eyes. Just stare for a second. How comfortable is that? Right? It's weird. It's like, dude, don't tell us that I'm never coming back to this church again. Jason, don't let him preach. It's like, it's awkward. And let me test you in that, because when your friend comes home, your spouse comes home, your kids come in the house, and they come in and you look at them, how many of you know? Right? I see a couple of you already nodding. How many of you know that something happened today? Something is wrong. Or something's very, very right? Their eyes are just like, they're popping out, and you're like, wow, okay, tell us about your day. We want to hear this story because it's exploding, right? They have this sadness, and they're trying to put the smile on, right? The spouse comes home from work, and they've just had that day, but they don't want to bring it in the house, so they come in. They're like, hi, honey, hey, and you can look at them in the eye and go, okay, let's find a time after dinner to sit and talk because something happened today, right? See, that's spiritual. Like their eyes didn't tell you that. There is a light in that. There's a darkness in that. And we have a connection to other people through that. The way you see people, the way you see life defines light and darkness in you. See people as people. Now, does that mean you lower your boundaries and you let people take advantage of you and do whatever they want in your life? Absolutely not. Have boundaries. Like there's toxicity in your life that you need to say goodbye to. Part of that materialism are people. There are people in your life that are toxic, that can tear you down with a word. And you know that, right? You know who those people are. Like when you see them, they can look at you and they can go, oh, and you're like, how? How do you know that button in my life? Well, you either have to change your buttons or put up boundaries. But when you look at other people, you begin to see that and that connection. And it says we can't serve these two masters, right? It says we can't serve two masters, we'll hate one and love the other. And what begins to happen is as we test these boundaries, as we look at these relationships we have with other people. Anybody been on vacation recently? Right? Do you stay in a hotel when you go somewhere? Stay at a resort? Jason just got to miss Disney this last week, or they could say yes. You get ready to leave and you pack. You know you're forgetting some stuff, but you can pick it up at the Walgreens down the road if you have to. You get in the car, the plane, you get there, and you walk into this room. And it's clean, the bed's made, the couch and the TV. The bathroom countertop has nothing on it. You set your little bag down, you plop down on the bed. There's no laundry to do. There's no kids' mess to clean up. Can you feel it? Can you see that? Like, can you experience that right now? Like you walk into that room and you're like, oh, this is gonna be a good week, right? You hear the ocean splashing outside the window, or you see the mountains off in the distance based on where it is you love to go. But it's just clean. And I believe what God shows us in that instant is that's what your life can be. When you begin to see that treasures on earth become burdens, they become obstacles, they become this weight that holds you down, you begin to serve them. And God is like, I have a plan for you. And it's like, well, I'll do it as best I can, but my income's got to be here because I've got a car payment that's here. I remember when I pastored, I loved to work with the college-age kids. I love to work with people that are around 18 to 25. That's just a great age. Like, it's just this life age. You think you can do anything. Everything is free. You don't have to answer to mom and dad anymore. It's like this great age. And they would get out of college, and they'd get their first job, and they'd be like, I want to buy a house. And they'd buy the most expensive house the bank says they could afford. And they're like, and I need a nice new car. I've always driven this old Honda Civic that always had one window that wouldn't roll up and one lock that didn't work right. Like, I want a new car. And they go out and they buy a brand new whatever. And their debt level is here. And they start going and living their life, and they go to church, and Jason preaches about mission work, and they hear the missionaries talking about mission work, and they're like, I feel called. Like, I want to go to Lithuania. I want to go to Mexico. I want to go to Haiti. And I only have $500,000 of debt. Our stuff can get in between us and what God has for us. So while this morning, I don't expect you to go home and burn your house down and live in a tent. Please do not do that today. I don't really have to worry about that. But what if you were to walk through your house and go, what in this place is a reminder to me of something that I have failed at? Something that needs to go. What if I see something in this house that's just stuff that I've been saying, I need to get rid of that. I don't want it. I don't need it. You have to move it 3 times a week because it's always on the wrong spot of the table. You want to sit down to dinner and there's so much stuff on the dinner table you can't find a spot. So you just eat with your plate in your lap. Like, I don't know your situation. You might all be like minimalist and have nothing in your houses, right? But if you're like me, you started out that way. We all did. None of us are born with an iPad. But then we begin to get some stuff. We begin to get some more stuff. And I tell you, when you begin to move those treasures from here to there, get them out of your life now and begin to build them up in heaven, you will find a joy and you will find a peace that you did not know was possible. Because I believe that God did not send us into the world so that when we die, whoever has the most wins. And I live that way a lot. Guys, I'm preaching to myself right now. I've got so much crap in my life that I want gone, and I will talk myself into why I should keep it. And I want better for me. And I want you to want better for you. Because when we get called to that feast, and Nate, I'm so glad you talked about that today, man. Because when we get called to that feast, like this is a reminder of not only the Last Supper of the last night of Jesus' life, of when he was with his disciples and they ate together. It's a reminder that we will do this until we have the real feast in heaven in his presence, right? So this is a reminder of a small meal of a feast that is to come. And I just want to encourage you that if there are obstacles that are between you and inviting others to this feast, if there are obstacles that weigh you down to where you can't make sure that you bring others with you and that you build an absolute path and peace to the relationship with this God that we have, then I want to encourage you to go home and find one thing in your life to get out of your way. One thing that's got to go. And see what God does. And I'm willing to bet if you'll take that step, God will bless it. God will honor it. When Jesus was betrayed, he had sat at a table with his betrayer, with those that denied him, with those that rejected him, those that sought to be the greatest in the kingdom. And Jesus looked at every one of them and said, for you, I give my body. For you, it is broken. For you, it is placed upon a cross to become the forgiveness for everything in your life. During the same meal, he lifted up a cup. He blessed it and he gave thanks. And he passed it to each disciple, each friend, each person here. And he said, drink of this, all of you, for it's my blood. It's poured out for you. It's poured out for your forgiveness. It's poured out for your freedom. It's poured out because this is all you need. So this morning, whoever's helping to serve, if you would please come. You're invited to come, to take a piece of bread, to dip it into the cup, to pray at the altar if you would like to pray. There will be people around that you can pray with. There's gluten-free in the back. This is your time to respond, to just seek out God's presence and to be in the presence of his Spirit. So I pray that you just take your time and spend these moments just listening and allow God to minister as we come. Will you come? Will you come?
Understanding, my life is in the hands God, trusting that you'll make something beautiful out of me. I give it all to you, God, trusting that you'll make something beautiful out of me. Will you stand and join me in worship this morning? I will climb this mountain with my hands wide open. I will climb this mountain with my hands wide open. I will climb this mountain with my hands wide open. I will climb this mountain with my hands wide open. I will climb this mountain with my hands wide open. I will climb this mountain with my hands. There's nothing I hold on to, nothing I hold on to, nothing I hold on to. There's nothing I hold on to, nothing I hold on to. No, there's nothing I hold on to, nothing I hold on to, nothing I hold on to. I give it all to you, God. I'm trusting that you'll make something beautiful out of me. I give it all to you, God. I'm trusting that you'll make something beautiful out of me. And I lean not on my own understanding. My life is in the hands of the maker of heaven. I lean not on my own understanding. My neighbor's life is in the hands of the maker of heaven. I give my stuff to you, God, trusting that you'll make something beautiful out of me. And I give my stuff to you, God, trusting that you'll make something beautiful out of me.
Thank you guys for being with us. Thank you, Charles, for a wonderful message. I was the recipient of generosity just this morning. I pulled up at the church, and my friend Christina was sitting outside, and I was going in. I was a little late because newborn, like changed shirts a couple of times because it was split up, and I was walking in and Christina said, "Wait, I have something for you." And she pulls out a Popeyes bag and was like, "Yes, that's awesome." But it wasn't Popeyes in the bag. It was a pair of baby shoes for my son. And that's the second, I've been back a month from paternity leave, and that's the first week was met with a basket full of like Nutella biscuits, which if you haven't tried them, they're amazing. And just all this stuff. And just wanted to point out and highlight a beautiful picture of generosity that is in our community. And so Christina, thank you. She's in the back. Not to embarrass you, she got baptized here maybe 6 months ago, and it's just a place that I saw God this morning. So thank you guys for being here. If you need prayer, I'll be around a little bit afterwards. Would love to meet you if I haven't met you. Go in peace to love and serve the Lord, and give away your stuff.